DJ, welcome to Broadband.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here today.
So for our listeners, let's start a little bit about your business. What is it?
My business I am super passionate about. I'm a founding brand partner with Neora International, and you're probably saying, what on earth is that? We're a holistic anti-aging company, all clean products in the skincare, wellness, and hair care. And at some point in the near future, in the weight management arena as well, where clean meets performance. So all vegan products that actually perform and do what they say they're going to do.
Right on. I'll be sure to include a show link in the or link for the show notes to make sure, so folks can check that out. Now, how many years have you been in business?
So I actually started off as a consumer of the product 8 years ago, 8 years last month. And then 6 months later, decided to jump into the business because who doesn't want free product? And I was thinking that it might make a great fun thing to do whenever I decided to retire, which I really didn't think was going to be for a long time.
I don't think I ever see you retiring, DJ.
Well, you know, when you love something, when you're passionate about it, it doesn't feel like work. So why would you retire for something you love?
Yeah. Now, why did you pick this as your entrepreneurial venture?
That is a funny question because I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I started out in business when I was 2 years old, selling painted rocks by the side of the road before pet rocks was a thing. Who knew? I should have patented it then. And I've owned my own businesses all the way along. I never, ever, ever thought I would be in the skincare or anti-aging business because I was a gal that grew up on a farm and like I didn't wear makeup. I didn't like use skincare because why? Put on some lipstick for the cows? But a girlfriend dared me to try it.
They might have appreciated that.
Yeah, I don't know. That might have been weird.
So tell me, like, the top 3 reasons why people should use your products that you sold as opposed to, there's such an assortment of skincare, hair care, things of that nature out there, but what makes your product line so special?
Yeah, so that's a really good question because I oftentimes thought that myself. I was like, okay, so what is really different about this? And what is really different is that it delivers above and beyond what it promises. So we're a company that really stands behind our word. We will always under-promise and over-deliver. They're clean products. They actually do what they say they're going to do. And you know what? Not every product is right for every person. Especially if you're not using it, it doesn't work. It's kind of like buying a gym membership and not losing any weight because you never go to the gym. Mm-hmm. But they really are custom curated products. So they're packed with active ingredients. So unlike walking into a skincare store where you say, okay, I need to get rid of wrinkles. I also need to hydrate. I have these dark circles under my eyes. I've got these major lines, across my head. What do I need? And they fill an entire basket. All of that would be addressed with 1 or 2 products.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we really make sure that when they are custom curated, they also have the best in science matched with the best in nature. So our products have a technology where it's an advanced skincare or advanced hair care where it will assess what it is that you need and activate those active ingredients to go to work.
Okay, right on. So we're going to do a little time travel. And let's say you could go back to your younger self and give yourself some advice. What would you share with your younger self about going into business or it doesn't have to be business, but whatever you would share?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question because the reality is, if I gave myself any advice, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I love the person I am today. So, trials and tribulations, the ups and downs, you learn that by trial and error, right? If you don't live through it, it doesn't impact you. And I've had a very eventful life, and so it really helps me to help others because of what I've lived through. So I'm not sure I would change anything, as much as sometimes I wish I could.
I think that's like the first person who said that. That's fascinating. Now we're going to switch it up. You're going to go into the future. You're going to go like just 5 years into the future. What do you think your future self is going to say to you who's coming to visit?
Oh, so my future self is going to say, rock on, girl. I love the fact that you are always setting like really high goals based on the dreams of what your perfect life would be. And as I said, life sometimes happens and you need to make some choices, and buckle up because it's going to be quite the ride.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Who had influenced you professionally?
Ooh, so I had a really good start in life. My family, I didn't know what it was like to be, told that I couldn't do something because I was a female. I actually went into business with my father and my grandfather in the water pump and filtration system company, as well as grew up on a farm where I actually did a lot of the farming. We had a 50-acre farm, so up at the crack of dawn, work, go to school, come home, work in the garden some more, take care of the animals, do it all over again. And so I think that really set a really good baseline for me, that, good work ethic, never told I couldn't do something. It was always figure it out. Find those people that can help support you and lift you up and lift up others as you do it. So that was probably like the most pivotal moment, was learning later on when other people were talking about, not having those abilities. I was like, wow, like, some people go like, oh, you grew up on a farm, oh, you poor thing. I'm like, don't feel sorry for me because I'm way ahead of you.
That's an interesting thing to share, because I spent some time growing up on a small acreage farm. And so, we didn't have tractors, but we had big, huge, not your standard little garden plot, but huge plots. Mm-hmm. And we kids were out there at the crack of dawn, weeding and picking before, the start of any summer day or what have you. And it's interesting how that, I cursed it when I was a kid, right?
Of course you do.
But looking back as an adult, realizing that contributed to that grit, right? You have grit, right? Grit and perseverance. So it makes a difference.
It does make a huge difference. And interesting enough is that, like, I look at my kids and my grandkids and I go, would they even survive growing up on a farm? I know you always want to make it better for your kids, but I sometimes think that we damage them by not allowing them to have those same struggles. Although, trust me, they got their own struggles that I would never want to have to live through. But it's all good. If you're not winning, you're learning. There's no such thing as losing.
That's right. I love that. You should have a bumper sticker that says that. So when was the moment when you felt, I got this?
I'm not sure that's happened yet.
Okay, next question. No. That's not a bad answer. You're still working on it.
Because, I mean, like, as I said before, life happens, right? So sometimes you're like going along, you're thinking like, okay, things are going well. And then, you lose a loved one. You find out that you're ill, or you find out that what you've been, spending the last 30 years of your life doing, you hate.
Oh God.
And you go like, okay, let's start again.
There's a pandemic.
Or there's a pandemic. I have to say that as much as I don't like the fear of the pandemic, because so your listeners probably don't know, I have a son who battles leukemia. And so this pandemic had a lot of struggles for us. And he lives with me. He's a grown man. He works as an essential worker. But besides all of that, there's some really great things that have come out of this pandemic. Like, people are really, and it's been overused, people are pivoting, but people are really digging into their creative side, their opportunistic side in a good way. And in some areas, we are really taking leaps forward in society, in business, a lot of different things. And yes, people are struggling. And yes, there are people that are very ill and are dying, but there has to be some struggle in order to have real progress. Otherwise, we kind of like sit back on our laurels. And, I hate when people say, oh, I'm just going to coast, because you realize that coasting requires going downhill.
That's a good point. And I hear what you're saying. I've had this conversation with several of my friends about, out of struggle comes growth.
Yeah.
You can get a little growth through joy, but it's really the struggle that gets your chops and really helps you become grittier, more resilient. Right. And yeah.
Yeah, and you have to be careful what you wish for, because one of the things that I wanted 2020 to bring me was better communication skills.
It handed it to you on a silver
exactly
platter.
What I had in plan.
What surprised you most as a business owner?
Again, I started super early. I owned my first company when I was 13 years old. And I think that what surprised me most, and still surprises me, is that oftentimes people will look at, whether it's joining my team now or, looking at potentially doing their own business when all of a sudden life throws them a curveball and the job that they've had for the last 10 years is suddenly gone. And they go like, well, I could never do what you do. I'm not special. I'm not. I have determination. So like, you want to really get me going, tell me I can't do something. And then I'm going to prove you wrong. But I think that, that's probably what surprises me the most is people not believing in themselves. Like, and I think, again, that kind of goes back to my dad, my grandparents, my grandfather, who like always said, whatever it is that you want to do, just decide and do it. So that's two components. You have to decide, and then you have to take action. And once you start taking action, you can't fear any longer, because you can't be in fear and act at the same time, unless of course you're running away. But in order to take action, you're dispelling all the fear.
Right.
So as long as you keep doing those actions that move you forward, you're going to get there.
Would you call yourself an ambitious person?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just so interesting that you said it that way. The video folks will see the face. The audio folks will not see the face. I asked that question because it's a really tricky word for women. Isn't it?
It is, because, many times if you're ambitious, you're considered a biatch. But I grew up in a man's world, so I'm a recovering CPA, and I was one of the women that was the only woman sitting at the boardroom table surrounded by a bunch of men. In fact, one of my former clients was the governor of the state. And he called a meeting that he wanted me to be a part of, even though I didn't work for the state. I worked for him personally. But he wanted my insight, right? So I go to the meeting, and it's at the Hope Club. And at the time, the Hope Club was a gentleman's club. And so I go walking in the door, and I get this guy come running at me. You can't be in here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm here for a meeting. He's like, well, I have to call the police if you're not going to leave the premise. I'm like, no worries. I'll call the state trooper that's upstairs in the meeting that I'm supposed to be in. And he had to escort me up. So it's like, I guess that's that, tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it anyways. I probably got from some of that, like don't push me, I'm going to push back. Whereas I think that whether you're male or female, if you weren't as self-confident, I guess maybe you would have went, oh, okay, and I would have left. Fear probably had a little bit of it, in there, because if I hadn't shown up for the meeting, in fact, when I called the state trooper and he was like, where are you? He is pissed that you're not here. I was like, I'm downstairs. They won't let me up. You have to come down and get me. So as soon as I walked in, and of course, he was like, why are you late? Because you had a meeting in an all boys club. I am not a boy.
I didn't even think about that.
And from that point forward, he really pressured a lot of those gentlemen's clubs to, get with the times. And so now, one of my best friends was the president of the Hope Club, female. So we've come a long way, baby.
Come a long way. So I wonder if you could share a story with me and the listeners about a messy middle, meaning things were not really looking or feeling like you were hoping in your business, okay, but you got to the other side of it. And, could you give us a little context of what it was, what you had to kind of deal with, and then what you learned from that process?
Yeah. So I'll go back to kind of almost to that same time frame when I had my CPA firm, and I got I had a lot of press. I was also asked to participate in the 1995 White House Conference on Small Business, and I represented the entire United States in taxes and had to go to Congress and give testimonials and things like that. And I can remember when I'm a small firm, and so I didn't have the leverage of being able to take all of that good press and turn it into new business. I got a lot of attention, but I also got a lot of, hey, baby, I'd love to put you up in a condo and, you can be my side gig here. Instead of it was crazy. And so in that whole time of before, the name of my company was DJ Horton CPA. And I ended up having to change the name of it to DJ Horton and Associates, because DJ could be a man or a female, man or a woman. And so we would negotiate contract, get the contract signed, and then inevitably I would get this, well, so when am I going to meet DJ? You're looking at her. And they already signed the contract, so they're backpedal. But it started to wear on me, and I can remember having a few moments, not too many, thank God, but a few moments going I feel like I'm a fraud. Because I was having to act like someone else in order to get the business in the door, to then prove to them that not only am I capable of doing all of the work, but I was their best choice all along. But that, and I don't know whether it's a female trait or not, because I suspect men go through that whole thing too, about where you kind of feel like you're a fraud because you're in that growth mode. So you're here and you're trying to reach here, and in that in between is where you feel like, I'm not really sure that I can do this. And then I was like, oh, everybody else has the faith in me. I need to have the faith in me too. And so I think that by surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, whether they're men, whether they're women, family, not family, sometimes family are not your biggest fans. So sometimes you have to push back a little bit. Be really cognizant of how much time you're spending with people that drag you down. I love surrounding myself with positive, influential, and affluential people, because they tend to have that belief of abundance, rising tide lift all boats. It's not like I'm only going to be able to get better and higher in my ranks and in my business if I'm pushing people down so I can stand on their backs. No, you want to be surrounded by people who are going to say either reach down to pull you up, or here, I'm going to help you get to the next level because I'm going to lift you up. You don't have to stand on top of me and push me down. I'm going to lift you up. And so to me, it's about really letting the abundance of the universe like flow through you. Like, don't try to stifle it. It's meant to grow just as you are. Does that answer the question? I think I went off track.
No, that hit the nail on the head. What would you say was the bravest thing you've ever done? Was that it? Or can you think of another story?
No, it was facing a yak and trying to get him to go back into his pen when he's pitch black. He's all black. It was a dark, moonless night. And we got a call in the middle of the night by some super drunk kid going like, the devil is on High Street. So yeah, no, it was more literally life or death.
Oh my gosh, that is a great story.
I have stories.
I'm visualizing that. Total switching gears here. Do you have any recommendations for like books or blogs or podcasts, things that have helped you either personally into your professional development or your professional development?
Yeah, I have always been fascinated with personal development. I have always taken the month of September to kind of think about like where I've been, where do I want to go, and just kind of review what I've done. Even as a kid, like I would think about like, what have I accomplished? What do I want to try? Whether it's, like trying out for the softball team or tennis or whatever it happened to be, or going into business at 13. And so I'm always looking for things that really make me think and go, does that feel right? Does that not feel right? If you're into leadership, I also owned international leadership and management development company. So like I actually went back 20 years after I graduated with my Bachelor of Science. I went back and got a master's in global organizational leadership just to make sure we were still cutting edge. Like, who does that? Me, this gal. I did a master's program in 16 months. So it clicked. I participated in Michael Bernoff's CORE program. That is like, if you're timid at all, don't get involved with him because he's really in your face. But he made me realize that, like I'm looking at developing a downline in my Neora business to become a Gold International Marketing Director. I'm sorry for the dog, but she's out of control today. And I was like, people were saying, yeah, but you've never done those kind of sales. You've never done that. And in this training, I realized, wait a minute. I remember what it felt like to walk across that stage, getting my master's diploma, having gone through my master's program when I was old enough to be the mother of every kid in that class. And I did it in 16 months while I was operating 2 businesses and my son was in high school. So don't tell me I can't be a Gold International Marketing Director, because I know what it feels to be successful. I know what it feels like. And I don't have to take years and years and years to do that. Mm-hmm. You can do that quickly. You just have to think about a time when you've accomplished something and how that felt, and then equate that to what it is that you're looking to accomplish. So I love John C. Maxwell. I'm into the leadership development, so I love that podcast. I love the Live Happy podcast. It's all about positivity and like really surrounding yourself with that positivity and really treating yourself the way you would want to be treated and treating others that way. And if those people aren't treating you the way that you want them to be, don't spend time with them. And I mean, I understand, like some of them are family members, so you might have to, but rather than spend a day with them, spend an hour with them. You don't have to stay the whole day, or spend 10 minutes, like whatever the obligation is, so that you stay connected. But there's also, oh, what was the name of it? It's about the happiness advantage. That was an eye-opening book about how to even just start to slightly tweak other people's attitudes. And that was phenomenal. I mean, that really made a huge impact, not just on me, but on my significant other who passed away and who had always been so negative. But because of the different things that we did because of that book, he was the most positive person even when he was dying. So that was like a huge gift. So there are tons and tons of great things out there. Another book that I read every single year, and now I read it every quarter, is The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. I've read that since it was like a little leaflet, it wasn't even paperback. I mean, it was written for his team. And now it's he finally published it, and then he's actually done a new edition of it, and has included some testimonials, and just taking on some of those slight edge philosophies totally can turn your life around.
Well, you gave us quite the list, and I will be sure to include links on our show notes. Now, I have one final question for you.
Okay.
It's actually several questions in one question. All right, here you go.
That's cheating.
What is your favorite flower?
Oh, that one is easy. My favorite flower is an iris.
Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay.
Dark roast and black.
Tahiti or Paris?
Oh, Tahiti. I couldn't stand Paris. Sorry, people. Sorry.
Oh,
I just didn't.
Are you?
Other parts of France I absolutely adore.
Yeah, just not Paris.
Yeah,
I love Paris. Are you an intention setter or a goal getter?
Can't you be both?
DJ Horton can.
I set my intention to go get my goal.
There you go, right on. And do you have a favorite quote you can share with us?
Oh, so I love quotes. I have them everywhere. So I have them like plastered all over my house. I have a calendar that every day is a different quote. My paper calendar has quotes. But I think that, and I won't quote this right. I apologize to Eleanor, but it was that, oh, shoot, how's it go? It's about people putting you down. People can't make you feel insignificant without your permission. Eleanor Roosevelt. It's not quite the right quote, but that was like, oh, really? When did I give him permission to do that? That makes you look at things differently, because it puts the responsibility with you, which is where it belongs.
DJ, this has been such a treat. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Denise. I love spending time with you because we always have such a great time.